Disney and Pixar, the two animation studios that go way back. Over the years, the relationship between these two studios has changed drastically, from being rival studios 20 years ago to being the best of friends today. But no matter how many years pass, and no matter how many films each of them release, there will always be one cardinal question. Which animation studio is the best? Well, heck if I know, but in this video, we'll get a little closer to answering that question by going through the top 10 things that Pixar does better than Disney. Per usual, you can expect an animation quiz at the end of this video, one simple question that only the most knowledgeable animated film fanatic can answer. Now without further ado, let's jump right in. Alrighty, in the 10th spot, we've got the obvious. Pixar films simply make more money than Disney films. Sure, in terms of individual films, Disney has Pixar beat, with the top 3 highest grossing animated films of all time being Frozen, Frozen 2, and the quote-unquote live-action Lion King, which unfortunately exists. Now, even though all 3 of these films come from Walt Disney Animation Studios, Pixar still makes more money. Why? Animated film franchises. Simply put, Pixar makes more money making franchises which, let's be honest, make a whole lot more money in the long run than any individual film. Sure, one might argue that both Frozen and The Lion King are franchises, and they should make more money than Pixar that way, but the harsh truth is that the Toy Story franchise makes more money than both of these franchises. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know more about the highest grossing animated films and franchises, I've put the links in the description right down below. This next one is arguably one of the best things about watching animated films, especially Pixar films. Since the release of Toy Story back in 1995 to the release of Turning Red a couple of months ago, Pixar has been consistent in putting 3 things in their films. Well, except for that one time. In almost every Pixar film, you will find the Peter Pan track from Toy Story, the alphanumeric sequence A113, and lastly, a little nod to their next film. In my opinion, Pixar generally makes better Easter eggs than Disney does. But that last one is what makes Pixar especially great. Since with each new film that they release, it gives legions of fans the opportunity to dig through the film and find the Easter egg. With every film having a little something from previous films and the next film, fan John Negroni came up with the ultimate theory, that every one of these films is connected. Now, regardless of whether this is true, which it totally is, the fact of the matter is that Pixar gives fans a lot more to enjoy before and after watching their films for the first time. Sure, Disney also drops a lot of Easter eggs for fans to enjoy, but none of them can compare to the Pixar triad, especially their foreshadowing. This next entry will resonate with anyone who has ever watched one of the classic Disney romance films. Picture this, you're 11 years old again, or if you are that age, just imagine sitting between your parents and watching a Disney movie marathon with that classic Disney princess lineup. At the end of each film, you feel more and more awkward, as the 2 main characters are smooching about and you're just sitting there between your parents trying not to feel uncomfortable. Now, whether you're the kid in the situation or the parent, it's hard to deny that it can sometimes be difficult to sit through those kissing scenes. Well, there's another thing that Pixar does better than Disney. If you were to watch all 25 Pixar films out there, you would bear witness to only about 6 kissing scenes, with each kiss not even being the focus of the scene. Whereas with Disney films, the first kiss is often what it was all leading up to. Sure, Pixar has a couple of romance stories here and there, but with a lot of them, Pixar finds ways to show the love between 2 characters without lip-to-lip contact. So a Pixar film is a much safer bet for family movie night than Disney films. One thing that Pixar does better than Disney is messages. The messages that Pixar films give us are often much more powerful and much more likely to hit home than those found in Disney films. A good example of this comes from Inside Out. One of the characters, Riley, loses the ability to feel joy and sadness, and for the rest of the film, we see how badly the loss of these 2 emotions affects her. In the end, the film tells us not to bottle up our emotions, because they each serve a purpose. Pixar and Disney may have the same formula when it comes to making films, with the hero often being forced to go on an adventure, learn some stuff along the way, and eventually come back home. But the difference is, with Pixar films, the hero often comes back different than they were when they left, learning some grand lesson that has changed them for the better. A message that the audience can pick up on and really apply to their own lives. This next one is hard not to notice. Pixar makes better sequels. Back in the day, Disney used to make sequels for almost all of their films, with each of their sequels being somewhat of a disappointment. Disney sequels can often just be Disney's chance to make more money, so they don't really put as much effort into making them. Pixar, on the other hand, has great sequels that really make a good impact on their franchises. Well, except for the Cars sequels, but we're not going to talk about that. Almost every sequel from Toy Story 2 in 1999 to Toy Story 4 in 2019 has made a lasting impact on their franchise that has changed each and every one of them for the better. This next entry goes back to the fact that Pixar films have better messages than Disney films. Disney rarely deals with real-life issues that plague society and are often present in our own lives. Whereas Pixar films can deal with issues like global warming, depression, and mental disorders, Disney deals with issues like not trusting people, what happens when you try to be perfect, and how you should always be yourself. Pixar films deal with issues that a lot of people have to face each and every single day. By featuring characters who have to deal with these issues, and we managed to find a true, realistic solution that we could use ourselves. Rather than having magic restore life to the planet in Wall-E, all they did was plant a tree and work on fixing their planet. A realistic solution to a problem that humanity is currently facing. And the Academy Award goes to a Pixar film. What about the Disney film? Well, it got nominated, but got beaten by Pixar or some other animation studio. When it comes to Oscar wins, the Walt Disney Animation Studio ain't got nothing on Pixar. With Pixar having 11 wins for Best Animated Feature and Disney only having 4. And this includes their most recent win with Encanto at the 94th Academy Awards. Pixar even has more nominations than Disney does. Simply put, Pixar has a lot more to be proud of when it comes to the Oscars than Disney does. Look, nobody's perfect. We all have flaws, but that makes us who we are. And Pixar knows this, with most of their films featuring protagonists with internal struggles, rather than them being perfect people who have been dealt a bad hand, like Rapunzel. They each have things that they have to work on, be it thinking that the grass is green on the other side, or underappreciating those around you. Pixar films have characters that are a lot more relatable, because a lot of them have to deal with intrapersonal issues, rather than just having to save the world or the people that they hold dear. If you're a fan of Pixar, you've likely heard of the tear-jerking film that is Up. Their award-winning original score left thousands of fans crying as they watched and felt tears roll down their cheeks. And Up isn't the only Pixar film that knows how to make you cry. Inside Out, Toy Story 3, Finding Dory, there are just too many films to name, all of which will get you questioning whether Mufasa's death is truly the most heartbreaking scene in all of animation. Disney films are good for laughs, but Pixar films are the ones that will get you more emotionally invested in the story. Just make sure to have a box of tissues next to you. Okay, I'm about to ask you a question and you only have 5 seconds to answer. You ready? Let's go. What do all great film studios have in common? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is original stories. Although I guess nobody could blame you for thinking it's money. There's nothing more annoying than watching a retelling of a story you already know, with everything being exactly the same. If the story comes from a book, it can be a wee bit better, since these films tend not to be exactly the same, and if done right, can even be better than the book. But it's always better to watch an original story where you have no idea what's gonna happen. All of Pixar's films are original. Each one is different. None of them remind you of something you've seen, heard of, or read before. Whereas Disney is famous for retelling old fairy tales or myths and just tweaking them here and there. A lot of these retellings have gotten Disney in some hot water. Pixar has always brought new, original stories to the big screen, and something tells me it always will. Okay, it is now time for this video's animation quiz. One simple question that only the most knowledgeable animated film fanatic can answer. You ready? Let's go. In what year did Disney buy Pixar? You got it? Alrighty, be sure to post your answers in the comment section right down below. You can expect the answer when this video hits 100 views. This has been Zeezypher, till next time.